Got some more breaking news right now. I want to get to it. NPR has suspended a senior editor who publicly criticized the network's liberal bias. Our own Juan Williams joins us by telephone now, and you had your own run-in with NPR a couple years ago, Juan. Thank you. Uri Berliner is his name. He came out with this long essay about how he felt internally the news-making decisions on behalf of NPR were misguided, and he set out to fix that. What do you think of the 5-day suspension just handed down?
Well, are they suspending this man, Bill, because he, in my opinion, rightly pointed out that, you know, they're an insulated group of liberals who think they're right about everything. They think they're good people, and they have a very hard time with people who think differently. Are they suspending him for that, or are they suspending him for going outside of NPR without approval to publish his essay and even to do some interviews? He did one with the New York Times recently without getting any approval from NPR. And he's not appealing the suspension at the moment, but they said it was a warning that could lead to his firing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Juan, whether he can provoke change at NPR by being outspoken about what he sees as disparity in their coverage, or he's probably going to eventually move outside of NPR, and this has certainly given him a lot of exposure and a lot of prominence that he could leverage potentially.
Well, I think he could. Now, let me just say that this story was actually broken by NPR, Martha. I mean, this is sort of a very intriguing dynamic. You have someone who actually was edited by Uri Berliner, David Folkenflik at NPR, breaking this story because he apparently was suspended last Friday for this week, the 5-day suspension. But again, NPR never spoke to Berliner, never spoke to Folkenflik about this, and Berliner gave Folkenflik the release and the letter announcing that he had been suspended. So there's lots of strange things going on, but one of them is that you see Berliner and others who are critics of NPR pointing out that the new head of NPR, Catherine Mayer, is someone who in the past has been tweeting critically about Donald Trump. And the question is, can she come in and be a uniter, a fair voice at NPR, given that she has been outspoken in her political views?
Juan, in your view, and you can read a lot of pieces just about every day about the internal agita this has caused at NPR. Do you think this brings on change? Does Berliner move on? Does he still work there? Or does NPR just keep on sailing in the same waters they've assumed for the past 8 years?
Well, look, we live in a very polarized media landscape, Bill, and my sense of Uri Berliner is he's been there 25 years. This is a man who's won a Peabody. He's an accomplished journalist. But right now he has angered his colleagues inside who see themselves as, you know, under assault from people who don't like them, who want to defund them, people who see them as, you know, in the case of my firing, unable to deal with people who think differently, especially in my case, a black guy who thinks differently than they think. And so they are very sensitive to criticism, even though, you know, they say, oh, they're all for being open-minded. I think what Uri Berliner has pointed out is they're not that open-minded. And I think that, you know, he may want to move on. I don't know if other people at other organizations are going to feel good about people who, you know, go outside of the organization without authorization to attack the organization itself. I understand if that's why you're being suspended, okay, but in this case, the political baggage is just so glaring. I don't know how you get away from the fact that, you know, Uri Berliner has spoken a truth about NPR and its political bias.
Juan, thank you for jumping on the phone. Breaking news from NPR. We'll see where it goes. And again, there is public money that goes toward NPR.
That's right.
Juan, as you point out. Thank you, sir.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.